Welcome back. With a new administration set to begin just 40 days from now, American education is poised for some potentially monumental changes. President-elect Trump has proposed sweeping reforms from eliminating the Department of Education to cutting federal funding for schools that teach critical race theory. He's also pushing to expand school choice programs, something teachers' unions and many Democrats say would undermine the public education system.
The woman who wants to oversee all of this is former pro wrestling executive Linda McMahon, his choice to lead the Department of Education. It follows 4 years helmed by Education Secretary Miguel Cardona, in which the department grappled with difficulty reopening schools after the pandemic. You might remember the botched rollout of new college financial aid forms, multiple attempts by President Biden to cancel student loan debt, and campus protests over the war in Gaza across the country. Education
Secretary Cardona joins us now to reflect on these last few years and discuss what's in store for the future of American education. Secretary, thanks so much for joining us this morning. We'll talk a lot about what we've seen over the last 4 years, but I think it's important to talk about what we could see over the next 4 years. And these promises from President-elect Trump to get rid of the Department of Education. Now they can't come in. It's not like a light switch and flip it off on day one, but there are some things they can do from the inside to really try and return many of the responsibilities we've seen at the federal government to the states. How much does this worry you? Who do you think will be impacted most by some of the changes we're hearing proposed?
Sure. Well, first of all, as a parent and as a lifelong educator, I know this is the wrong message you want to send to the country at this time, that education is not that important. And I think what it will do is affect the most vulnerable populations, students that struggle with reading and math, students with disabilities, children in rural areas. So we have to recognize that what we're doing, in essence, is promoting a plan that removes some of the civil rights protections of students across the country. And as a former state commissioner of education, I can tell you, decisions are made at the state level. The federal Department of Education doesn't really have a role in curriculum. It doesn't have a role in a lot of the things that they're purporting.
Yeah, I think some people maybe see it as not so much that they're not valuing education, but that they want to do things differently. Like, for example, when it comes to school choice, something that we mentioned, critics say could undermine the system. On the other side of the aisle, some parents would like to see this. Walk us through how something like that could impact education, and do you think we could see that pretty much out of the gate with the Trump administration?
I believe firmly that this is a plan to dismantle public education. It's a plan to privatize and commercialize, if you will, K-12 education, like they tried to do with for-profit colleges that turned out to be a disaster. So, you know, public education is not for sale. I'm totally fine with school choice. I think parents should choose where their children go to school. What I don't agree with is taking public education dollars to fund vouchers in schools that don't accept all students or can't meet the needs of all students, in particular students with disabilities. So totally fine with school choice, but not at the expense of public education.
Let's talk about student loan relief. According to your own department's data, your administration forgave $166 billion in loans, a huge number. That's despite the Supreme Court ruling against the president's plan. You constantly saw this pushback about it from Republicans. Did that surprise you that so many people were against forgiving these loans?
You know, it's over $176 billion. Close to 5 million people in this country's lives changed as a result of these policies. And am I surprised? I'm not. You know, it's unfortunate, though, because when we are bailing out the airline industries or bailing out banks, we don't see the level of opposition that we see when we're trying to support blue-collar, hardworking families here in America with some of their student debt relief. The system is broken, and I'm really proud of that work. Every corner, there's opposition. You know, we were being challenged, but still, 5 million people, over $170 billion in debt relief, and many of these folks are public servants. The people that we said were, you know, people that we needed in our classrooms, our firefighters, our police officers, veterans, everyone that we called essential 4 years ago are benefiting from public service loan forgiveness. So this is a program that I'm proud of, and no other administration has come close to the debt relief that we've provided and fixing a broken system.
We can't have you here and not ask about the FAFSA rollout. Something I know you've answered a lot of questions on. Of course, something many families need, that financial aid, and it's going to impact the decision they make. We saw a cascading effect of what that meant for students heading to college. How was it that it was so bad, and is it fixed?
Well, yes, it's fixed. It's open right now, studentaid.gov. If students start getting on there right now, within the next 15, 20 minutes, it'll be done. And the reason why there was some challenges last year is because the system hasn't been touched in 40 years. We overhauled not only FAFSA, but the system that led to FAFSA. And even with the delays last year, I'm proud to say that we had over 500,000 more applicants fill out FAFSA last year. We have record numbers already this year. We opened it up before the deadline that we set on ourselves. And I'm really proud to say that college access and affordability is available today. Studentaid.gov, go visit it. And it's going to be better for years to come. It's a 15 to 20-minute process. And as a father, I appreciate that. And as someone who, as a 17-year-old, I didn't fill out FAFSA because it was so complicated. I didn't want to put it on my parents' lap. Those days are over. It's a better system now. It works. And I want students to take advantage of it.
We are tight on time, so it's unfair that I ask you for a quick answer on a complex question.
Sure.
But cell phones in schools.
Yep.
What do you think needs to happen?
We heard from parents, we heard from educators, we have guidance. We need districts and school systems to have tools at their disposal to protect students, number one, but also recognize they're not going away, so we have to do it safely.
All right.
Last quick question for you as you look ahead. What is next for you? I think it's always interesting in these jobs. You know, you're either 4 years, 8 years, but there's a timeline on it. What's next for you?
First of all, I never bet against American schools. I never bet against American educators. So we're going to be okay. We suffered a storm before with the COVID pandemic, and some say a storm is brewing. We're going to be okay. For me, the job will change, but the passion and work will.
All right. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona, thank you for your time this morning. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us several times over the years. We appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.